Welcome back, everybody. Let's continue our discussion on Article 680, which is swimming pools, fountains, similar installations. 680.14 is the subject of this video, which deals with corrosive environments. All right, so there were some changes made here in 680.14. Equipment in corrosive environments is more clearly addressed, and also we did some other tweaks with the language about corrosive locations in the definition in Article 100 that hopefully made it a little bit easier to understand what the requirements for swimming pool environments are. Alright, so 680.14a talks about the wiring methods. That's going to be your EMT, your PVC conduit, rigid metal conduit, liquid type, whatever the wiring method is. And then subsection B is going to talk about the actual equipment itself. So 680.14a, wiring methods in corrosive environments must be suitable for such locations. Rigid metal conduit, intermediate metal conduit, PVC conduit, liquid type flexible non-metallic conduit, and reinforced thermosetting resin conduit, that's fiberglass. Those are all allowed. However, aluminum raceways are not. Okay, I'm showing the swimming pool equipment area. Obviously, it's not a swimming pool equipment room because it's outside, and that's why I want to bring this up. Wiring methods in corrosive environments. What's a corrosive environment? Well, that's where you go back to Article 100, and you're going to find out that it's an area that does not have adequate ventilation and contains swimming pool equipment like chlorine and what have you. Go back to the Article 100 definition, you'll see what I'm saying. But here's where I'm going with this. Areas that do not have adequate ventilation. Okay, well, this is outside. It doesn't get more ventilated than being outside. Now, there can be outdoor locations that have 3 walls built around the equipment, and if that's the case, then you could maybe argue whether or not that has adequate ventilation. I think it probably still does, but here's what I'm going to tell you. Be careful with swimming pools. I think we did swimming pools wrong for the last 50 years. And I say we, I mean we, not you, but you and I did them wrong too. And when I say I never wired any swimming pools. I just did commercial and small industrial, so I never actually wired a pool, but I inspected a lot of them. And, look, I'm sorry to say it, I'm embarrassed to say it, but I kicked the pooch, man. I allowed regular dry location equipment in locations that I absolutely should not have allowed them. And if I could turn back the clock, I would treat swimming pool installations with a lot more attention and a lot more respect, because I think we're now starting to find out that, doing it wrong for as long as we did it wrong is creating major problems. In the Chapter 5 videos, we talked about electric shock drowning in Article 555. You know, electric shock drowning is not limited to marinas and boatyards. I know that's where everybody talks about it, but swimming pools, you're just as likely to die there. And when you factor in electricity and corrosion, boy, you really get a recipe for electric shock. This photograph here is in a swimming pool equipment room. And you can see by the state of the equipment, I mean, it's rotted away to nothing. And again, I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I've inspected installations and past installations that are probably going to end up looking like this. And that was my fault, and I screwed that up. And again, if I could go back in time, I would change it. But all I can do now is tell you that I screwed it up, and that maybe in the past, maybe you have screwed it up, but we need to stop screwing up. We need to make sure that we're installing swimming pool equipment in equipment that's rated for the environment. So 680.14b says other equipment, other as in not the wiring methods, so panel boards and closures. Other equipment must be suitable for corrosive environments or be in identified enclosures or be listed for pool and spa use. You can buy, if I go back to this photograph here, in the top right-hand corner of this picture, that is almost certainly a listed swimming pool and spa panel board. And if that's the case, those usually are designed with corrosion protection in mind. So if we go back, it says, what are the requirements? Well, put it in equipment suitable for corrosive environments, maybe a stainless steel enclosure, or in identified enclosures, which again would be stainless steel, or enclosures, equipment that's listed for pool and spa use. All right, so there you go. There is your corrosive locations for swimming pools.